All right, we are live and we are going to be attempting to do this live also on Instagram. All right, here we are. Hi, everyone. This is the voice and the face of Dr. Tulo Labinton. I'm the CEO and co founder of Living Spring Family Medical Center here in the amazing city of Mansfield, Texas, where we help our patients live long and well because we believe the quality of life is just as important as the quantity of life. And that is why we're having these conversations too. If you are watching live, hashtag live. If you're watching on replay, replay, hashtag replay. If you're watching from Instagram, please just say hi, Instagram or something. I can't quite see the comments because we're streaming on multiple platforms at this time, but I'm really excited to be bringing this message live to Instagram. And today we're going to be talking about body positivity revolution, embracing your size and loving yourself, even as we continue in the new year. And I have a guest. My guest is Dr. Catherine Toomer. She hasn't quite joined us yet, but she should be joining us shortly, even as we have this conversation. She's a repeat guest of ours, but while we wait for her, we will go ahead and continue with this conversation. So hashtag live if you're watching live, hashtag replay if you're watching replay. And some of you may wonder why we're having this conversation. Now, as a family physician, I do see a lot of patients who are working on health goals, life goals, and all the things when it comes to health. And sometimes even through that transition, or as we go from here to there, from goal weight, there are discussions. Oh, hi, thank you for joining. There are discussions that are had, and I can see some of my clients, feeling bad about how they look, loss of self-confidence that comes with that, and sometimes it actually affects their relationship, even with intimate partners. It affects how they take on life. It affects some of the things they actually venture out to do. And so these conversations are important. All right. I'm not sure what's going on with our guest, but let's see. Otherwise, we'll go ahead with the conversation. How are you all doing this new year, by the way? It's week 2. Ah, all right. Let me see. Let me just make sure she's okay for it. All right. Otherwise, we will go ahead. Thank you, Chu, for joining us. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Chu. But thank you for joining us. All right. So while we wait for our guest, I'm going to go ahead and start with the questions so that we can have an engaging time today since you're here. So first, my first question was from a medical perspective, how does a positive body image contribute to overall well-being? That's a big and loaded question. Um, oh, thank you, Sue. Thank you for the heads up. Look, our guest may be joining us soon. Thank you for that. But it is very, very, very important. Um, it is very, very important. You know how you see yourself. It actually affects your health outcomes. I've had patients actually choose not to venture out the house because how they perceive themselves. I've had patients develop anxiety and depression over self-esteem issues or over concerns on how they are viewed. You know, and it is important that even as we journey from our current weight to whatever else or the next goal weight, that we understand that even through that journey, it's important to still love the body we have, to take care of the body we have, and to love ourselves at every size. Very, very, very important. A lot of times I do see some of the concerns peak as women, particularly transition through menopause. I have patients come in, I can't seem to get the weight off. I've tried this, I've tried that. I don't feel like, being with my partner anymore because I don't like how I look. And so conversations like this need to be had, that even as we journey from here to there are other measures of success when it comes to our health. So yes, how you perceive yourself is very, very important when it comes to your mental health, when it comes to your physical health. I've had patients decide to take, work at home jobs because they don't want to go out. I've had patients give up on health goals at all because the struggle with how they look is it continues. So it is really, really important that conversations like this are had. That even as you're working towards this wonderful weight goal where you feel like you would feel or you would look your best, that you learn to love yourself through the process. All right, now let me see if our guest is almost here. Oh, it looks like we have a little bit of a time zone issue. So we're going to go ahead. Um, but yes, as a physician, I have seen how body image issues can affect overall well-being, and so it's important to maintain a positive body image. Now, how do you do that? Is the next question I was going to ask her, and I have to tell you, it's an active process. It's also a passive process, and so it's easier when you have people around you who also encourage this conversation, and when you surround yourselves with podcasts, or you listen to people who encourage you in line with positivity. So that's how you do it passively, and that's how you do it actively. All right, it is not an egocentric attitude to have to love yourself. It's so interesting. I even as clinicians, this is also an issue. Even as clinicians, this is an issue. Self-love, caring for yourself, appreciating the gift you are, appreciating your beauty, appreciating the gifts that are endowed you naturally. It's actually a good thing when your self-esteem is healthy. When you see yourself in a positive light, you're willing to dream bigger. You're willing to take on new challenges. You're willing to engage in relationships that will move you forward in every area of your life. But when you have a low self-esteem or have a low self body image, it affects relationship. It affects how you put yourself out there. It affects how you show up at work. It affects how you show up in your relationship. It affects how you show up even in your finances. You know, um, and so this conversation is as awkward and tough. And I really wish my guest was here to engage with me on this conversation. But these conversations are important to have, and it's important to also know that you know um, um, it's something that everyone should work on, and it's one that one should not feel bad that you're working on. You should not feel bad that this is something that you need to work on. I've seen, oh my goodness, I've seen beautiful women, beautiful men come in, and say, you know what, I don't know, I don't want to do this. Even questions like, why don't you go to the gym? Oh, when I go to the gym, I feel, some kind of way. So let's talk about the practical aspects. How do you help yourself? How do we build a positive image? How do we learn to love our size, embrace our size, and love ourselves without giving up on the goals? So I'm not saying here that if there are weight goals you have, or if there are health goals you have, that you give up on that because, and just, I'm not saying just love yourself or focus on self-love. Well, it's important to focus on self-love, because as you focus on self-love, actually the weight comes off. You're excited, you're motivated to do things that make you feel better. It's not really just about the size. There's so many ways to measure success. I've had patients whose scale has not budged one, but they feel better. They're more energized. They exercise. They've built muscle mass. Their abdominal circumference has reduced. They feel their skin is better. They feel stronger. They feel well rested. They're able to engage in conversations and activities throughout the day because they have left the self bashing. They've left the, oh my God, um, I can never lose weight, or I'm not beautiful because I don't fit certain beauty standards. But because they realize that, oh my goodness, I am awesome. I'm beautiful as I am. I want to get healthier. I want to feel better. These are other measures of success. And so they take that on. They go exercise, they drink more water, they eat better. Scale may not budge, but they feel great. They feel great, and they've learned to love themselves, and the weight comes off. And so I want to encourage you, if you're watching this, not to give up on yourself. Sometimes I encourage my clients to like, what do you say to yourself? Like I tell them to talk to themselves. Have more board meetings with yourself. Have meetings one-on-one. Where you tell yourself the things that empower you, the things that help you see the beauty that God has made you, the beauty that God has given you. So number one, I am awesome. I am beautiful. I am graceful. I'm strong. I am bold. These are important conversations to have with yourself. Very, very important. And sometimes I have clients who tell me, well, doc, I don't believe that. Well, the beautiful thing is you say it enough times, your mind will actually start to believe you. So don't give up is my challenge for you. All right, next question. What role does self-compassion play in promoting a healthier relationship with one's body? As you learn to love yourself and be graceful with yourself, and that comes in different forms and conversations. For instance, I have, people who go through this self-deprecating conversation when they don't meet their goals. Oh, I meant to go exercise. I was going to eat better, but I didn't. Week 1, week 2, or day 1, day 2, I've already given up on their goals. And so they feel like, you know what? There's no point. Well, if you learn self-compassion, meaning, okay, I didn't do it yesterday. Heck, I didn't do it this morning, but I'll try again. Then you're quick to forgive yourself and start again. You're quick to say, you know what? I did the best I could given the circumstances that I was in. And so I am going to move forward and try again. As we learn self-compassion, we're more likely to be graceful, more gracious to ourselves. We're more likely to engage over and over and over again in healthy habits, even in spite of our old or our past struggles or past disappointments or past quote unquote failures. All right. And it takes time to form habits. Studies show that up to 3 weeks. And sometimes the habits are formed, you get off the bandwagon, or you get off the habit, maybe vacation comes, or you travel, or a life event happens, but then you get back on. So we're ever learning new habits, we're ever learning better habits to help move us forward. So I want to encourage you, even as you're making strides when it comes to your health and you're making decisions, please show compassion to yourself, because it's very, very important. It's very important to your mental health. It also affects your physical health. Now, next question. Are there common misconceptions about body size and health that I often address with my patients? Yes. So being skinny is not equal to being healthy. Being overweight or obese by definition is not necessarily equal to being unhealthy. I have patients who come in very heavy muscle mass. They're considered obese by standards. That is not the measure of health. All right. And so it's really important. I tell patients, I remember I had a client the other day. She had been exercising, dancing. She was doing the hula hoop. She's the one who taught me how to do apparently there's a hula hoop that's not actually the circle, but it's something you put around your belt, and there's a weight that you use your hips to swing around. So she'd been doing that for 4 months. We had talked about doing a form of activity where she could do for fun that she enjoyed. So she would do that to music, she and her grandkids. So that was one. I encouraged her to start drinking more water. I said she should drink about half or 2/5 of her weight in ounces. I asked her to do that. I also asked her to make sure she prioritized sleep. Sleep is very, very important for healthy weight and more energy. So she did that, and she came to me. She's like, "Oh, I'm ready to give up." I'm like, "What's the problem?" She was so frustrated. She was so angry. She's like, "Doc, I have been, doing the health coaching. I've been dancing for exercise using my hula hoop. I've been drinking water, and I haven't lost weight." She was mad at our scale, and it's optional to do the scale at our clinic. And I said, "Okay, how do you feel?" And she said, "Well, come to think of it, I feel better. I have more energy." I said, "What else?" She said, "Yeah, and I have to keep removing pieces from the hula hoop because it looks like my waist is shrinking." I said, "What else?" And she said, "Yeah, my clothes are fitting looser." I said, "But the scale has not changed." I said, "Who cares?" All right. And so sometimes we have to redirect ourselves, because naturally the mind is not going to say, "Hey, great job, you're doing this," unless something drastic. I have clients who come and they've lost 8, 9 pounds, and you should see the look on their face. "Yeah, I lost 8 pounds over two months." And there's no sense of, excitement or "I did this." And they're like, no, it should be 100 pounds, or it should be 20 pounds. But the truth is, there's so many measures of success that have nothing to do with weight. The BMI is not, it's not the gold standard, or it's not the ideal standard to measure someone's health status. Can you go up and down the stairs without feeling out of breath? Do you have energy to do the things that are important to you? Now, that's the goal to strive for, with or without the weight loss. All right. And so it's really important that we have a balanced conversation when it comes to weight, because it's not a, one size fits all. It's not a, you drop this size in weight, then that means you're healthy. It's not that you go up this size in weight, that means you're unhealthy. No, it's a multifactorial. There are multiple factors that one has to pay attention to. All right. Are you all tracking? Very good. All right. Let's see. Next question. Can you share advice on how to cultivate a positive body image in the face of societal beauty standard? Oh my goodness. This one is a little bit, this is a toughie. I'll be honest with you. I had talked to you about earlier about, curating your environment. Sad to say, social media, magazines tend to tout, but the narrative is actually changing, at least based on what I'm seeing, where, you have to look a certain way, you have to be a certain size, certain width, certain dimensions, skinny, certain colors. The challenge then becomes, we talked about self-love, reminding yourself that you are beautiful, seeing yourself as beautiful the way you are. Can you imagine if everybody looked the same and everybody had the same body size? That would not, no, the world would not be an exciting, a beautiful and colorful place to be. And so I tend to encourage my clients to practice self-love. Yes, practice is an active process. So you tell yourself, I am beautiful. I am worthy. I have gap teeth. And it's so interesting in my culture. I'm Nigerian American. The gap teeth is a beauty mark. When I came here and I went to see the dentist for the first time, dentists were like, "Oh, I'll fix that real quick for you." And I'm thankful that at that point I had learned to love my attributes, and I said, actually, no, that's not why I'm here. I'm just here to have my teeth cleaned, not to have that gap closed. And so, parents have a lot to do with this. For those who have children, an active process of teaching and ourselves and teaching those that we love that, hey, and saying the things, I love you, you're beautiful, you're awesome. And also knowing that a lot of the images online are sometimes they're surgically altered, sometimes they're digitized. Don't believe everything you see on social media. And it's important to learn to love yourself. It actually affects how well you live. So knowing that fact should help you practice that, dance a little bit, twirl, you look at yourself in the mirror and say, man, my goodness, I am beautiful. Now, of course, there are people who have not been told that when they were growing up, or people who have been criticized. I had a client the other day who shared with me that, she actually had to have some kind of face altering surgery to, have her face fit what her parents' standards of beauty was. How that's can't even put my words together. I was disheartened to hear that. So now at an older age, she's still learning to love herself and appreciate herself. And so our conversations are usually around, hey, you have to see how beautiful you are. Listen to things that remind you of how beautiful, how awesome you are. We're all a work in progress. None of us are perfect, but I don't want you wasting your life living out, a life full of, oh, I am not good. That's type. I'm not good enough. I'm not beautiful enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. That's life wasted. Instead, take time to examine yourself. Take time to appreciate the beautiful person that you are, and surround yourself with people who remind you of your worth, who remind you of how beautiful you are, who appreciate you at face value. All right. But, the truth is you have to learn how to love yourself. No one can see that for you. No one can see that for you, and it's a journey, but it's a journey that also starts with you as an individual, seeing this as a priority, especially now that we've said that it actually affects your quality of life. All right. Next question. How can healthcare professionals play a role? Whew, that's a deep one. In promoting body positivity among their patients. All right. This is a sensitive topic. And so I would see this as as a client, you're going to see a doctor. If there's certain things that tend to, or a clinician, and there's certain things that tend to maybe trigger you or make you feel a certain way, maybe giving the team a heads up, maybe giving the clinic a heads up, like, you know what, I'd prefer not to be weighed in public, or maybe I prefer to have my weight not mentioned at the visit. I've had clients tell me that, and most doctors' offices, I don't see why there would be an issue. We respect that. You want to find a practice that would also help, that you feel comfortable talking about some of these concerns and advocate for yourself. But how can we as physicians do better? Well, learn the science of obesity, learn the science of weight issues. That is not just it's not, it's not as simple as, oh, you eat too much or you don't exercise. No, there's so many factors that come into play. And so be sensitive when those conversations are being had, and get to know the individual. Do not assume, one of the things that we could do better as clinicians is not assume that everything is tied to weight. No, that is not true. And so sometimes there's a disconnect, between a patient and between the physician or the clinician and the client, the patient. And so this is where I encourage patients. I encourage you to advocate for yourself. I've had patients, I've told them, you go to see a specialist, let them know, give them feedback. You know what? When you did this, it hurt my feelings, or I felt a certain kind of way. I just want to give you feedback from me. I'd appreciate, there are ways, and there are a lot of good clinicians out there too, who would respect, because this means this much to you, would actually listen to you and adjust their practice to suit your needs. And we're learning more and more how to do this better. So, but I would encourage you, I think the biggest thing would be to advocate for yourself as a patient. And we as clinicians become a little more sensitive. We don't need to have a weighing scale that's very obvious for everyone to see. We don't need to overly assume that everything is tied to weight. We are learning more and more that, yes, we want our clients to have a healthy weight where they can live a good quality of life that best suits them. But we need to ask more questions. We need to get to know our clients better. But once again, as a client, be sure to advocate for yourself. Let me see. I can take one more question, or I can ask myself one more question. Let's see. Are there specific health risks associated with extreme dieting or body dissatisfaction that you commonly address? Okay, this is a very broad question, but yeah, extremes of anything can potentially be pretty bad. So extreme dieting, I've had patients actually go into um, arrhythmias, meaning their heartbeat got scattered or got irregular to the point where the heart was not able to pump effectively, because certain people have eaten too little, or had tried to rid themselves of food they have actually ingested, either by purging, trying to get themselves to vomit, or taking medicines that would have them use the bathroom in an effort to lose weight. So electrolytes, so your sodium, your potassium, your magnesium. These are electrolytes, or these are little ions that help regulate how your heart beats, how your kidney functions, and other small processes that lead to bigger processes in your body. And so when someone is malnourished or doesn't eat enough in effort to lose weight, then there are problems. We have people who have lost hair, who have lost muscle mass, from some of these things. All right. So it is very, very important not to engage in extreme dieting. And the truth is, there are many health risks associated with that. We've had people actually go into seizures as well. We've had people, have blood sugars are so low, near death. So really, really important not to diet extremely, and to make sure that you have conversations with your clinician as to what diet is best for you and your medical condition. You know, um, so that answers that question. I'm not happy that my guest is not here, but we made it. We made it. Thank you for watching live. And those of you watching replay, thank you also for watching. I will have the guests come back on where we'll have this conversation, maybe in a different format. But I want to encourage you, if you who are watching this, please, this is a year to love ourselves, to make those decisions that help move us forward, um, spirit, soul, and body, to learn to love ourselves, to speak love to those around us too, who may be struggling, even though they may not appear so. But please tell yourself, I am awesome. I am beautiful. I'm amazing. I'm a work in progress. For where I'm at now, I'm doing good. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Thank you too again for watching. And as always, if you or anyone you know is looking for an awesome, a thorough family physician in the Mansfield, Dallas, Texas, DFW area who have conversations like this to help you live long and well, I am she. Have a good one and talk to you next week, same time. Bye.